Right, it's what everyone came for. Good morning to you all. The chairs have had a couple of questions that we're going to ask Michael and John as we go around the room. But once again, if you have anything to put in the chat, please feel free to do so. But I have the pleasure of introducing two great leaders of our association. John Geha, our CEO, new CEO, as of last year. So we've got a couple of things to ask John. John comes from great leadership with Realogy background and running associations, and we have the pleasure of seeing his vision enacted for the second year. Michael Jones, who brings over 25 plus years of real estate experience. He is with the Coldwell Banker King Thompson Metro office and is our 2021 president for the association. So I'm excited to introduce you both and excited to jump into questions with you. So I'll start off with a few questions, and then some of the other chairs will jump right in as well. So first, I wanted to ask you both, just to kind of break the ice, being that we can't see each other in person, and Michael, I know you're away from Columbus right now. Where is your favorite place to travel around the world? John, I'll start with you, and then we'll go to you, Michael.
Well, good morning, everyone, and it's great to see everybody, and thank you so much for having Michael and I on your Zoom call this morning. Our favorite place to travel, a couple places. One, we love to go to Europe as much as possible, but I absolutely love going up to parts of Canada, such as Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and to the Arctic. I was very fortunate to go up to the Arctic and witness the Northern Lights 2 years ago, and there's nothing in my life I've ever seen like that before. So those are some of the places that we'd love to visit.
Great. I've never been, but it's something on my bucket list. So, Michael, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us here. I want to say congratulations to Jill on being selected as the YP of the month. Awesome job. I'm enjoying a new relationship in terms of getting to know Jill better. So looking forward to seeing great things continue with you, Jill. Congratulations again. Congratulations to you three chairs. You mentioned earlier, Cody, that you've never seen three chairs, and it wasn't an accident. You know, you guys were handpicked and selected for various reasons, and I'm really proud of all three of you and looking forward to what this year is gonna give all of us at Columbus Realtors, especially this YP group. It's very special. And thank you to Haley, thank you to Jessica, thank you to Kelly, everybody that's involved in the YP group. Under John's leadership, you guys are doing a great job, and we're looking forward to all that you guys will do to help support this group. And by the way, Cody, as we're talking about trips, I wouldn't mind, you putting together a guide trip to head up to the Northern Lights, and let's just go do that. We got Josh in on the Pamplona running with the Bulls. Let's just make a plan, maybe a YP trip. But as you know, I'm in Florida right now. That's one of my favorite places, whether it's in the Florida Keys, which I love. As a matter of fact, on Facebook today, the memory that popped up was me returning back from the Florida Keys 5 years ago today. And this morning I woke up to a beautiful sunrise that some of you may have seen if you are friends with me on IG or on Facebook. So Florida is probably one of the easiest places to get to for me. I have a second home here. My family has a home here. So it's easy, it's beautiful. Again, the Keys are like a paradise in the United States. You don't have to go too far. So I'd say Florida is probably my favorite place.
Thank you both. And if we ever get a chance to get to the Arctic Lights, we'll try to plan a trip. That sounds like a lot of fun. The thing I love about YPN is that we're able to get kind of a face behind a name and get to know you guys a little bit. And so I love this coffee hour talk because and for the membership here that is watching, please feel free to add any more questions that may spawn off of what we do ask here. But our next question is really, what are you most excited to see out of our 2021 YPN group? And this is for both of you. Michael, we'll go right back to you, and then I'll go to John. But what are you most excited to see out of this group that maybe we have lacked in the past, or our vision based on the goals that we set earlier during our budget meeting or our committee meeting? What are you most excited to see under your leadership, Michael?
Loaded question. I guess I'd say I'd like this group to be very visible and be maybe the go-to group for elevating the level of professionalism in our industry and in Columbus, at Columbus Realtors and Real Estate. Oftentimes, being the young professionals, you might be considered inexperienced or just new, and oftentimes you'll see senior agents say, oh, they're young, they don't know. Show them that you do know. Show them that you came from a strong background understanding what it is, not just to sell real estate, but being a professional, a great colleague, a great partner in a transaction. I think it's really important that people see that from this group. And if you guys step up in a big way, I think that would be huge for our association. So I encourage you, through your chairs, this entire group, it looks like we have 45 participants, excluding John and I, you have over 40 folks. I'd like to see you be the face of professionalism for all of our colleagues throughout the Columbus Realtors. Sometimes it's thought that, again, in a contract, oh, they don't have much experience. Show them that you have the experience. Demonstrate through your actions and your behaviors that you are professional, you are capable, you are Columbus Realtors. It's just kind of built into the name, Young Professionals Network. I just let this professionalism shine. That's what I'd like to see. This is my challenge for you guys.
John?
Michael, I love what you just said. And when I received my license, I was 19 years old. We did not have a Young Professionals Network, and often you were lost in trying to get started. And you are the future of Columbus Realtors. You're the future of professional real estate. And to reiterate what Michael is talking about is the professionalism. It's the relationships that you're going to build. And one of the beauties of Columbus Realtors is that you don't see a corporate hat on during a board meeting. The networking, the relationships that have been built over the years within Columbus Realtors, within our stakeholders, our relationships throughout Central Ohio is vital. And as you know, real estate is the foundation to our economic growth in Central Ohio, and you're going to lead the way. So it's the relationships you're going to build with each other within our region, but also the relationships you're going to build through the state of Ohio and throughout the United States and North America. And that networking, that communication. So building the professional, the level of professionalism that Michael's talking about, the ethics, the foundation of our business, and you're going to do this together. Shelter is the foundation of our economy, and it is extremely important that we continue to build our future. And you are the future of Columbus Realtors in leadership and in the business that we are all part of. So congratulations to all of you who are participating in this.
I'd say that you guys are the standard. I want you to be the standard of professionalism. It starts with you and what you'll require of all your colleagues. So be the standard.
Thank you both. Good insight there. John, this question is specifically for you. And one question, looking back on your first year as CEO of Columbus Realtors, what do you feel like is your best accomplishment in 2020?
That's a great question. And I have to bring it back to the leadership within Columbus Realtors and the team that is on the staff at Columbus Realtors. We went into a year that was unknown to all of us. It was unknown to our elected officials. It was unknown to science. It was unknown to our business. And we asked our team to do something that they weren't ready to do. And what I'm so proud of is how their work ethic, their commitment, their drive to keep Columbus Realtor. And we didn't maintain last year. That was so exciting. We accomplished so much throughout the year to address and keep Columbus Realtors moving, and to make sure that we were servicing all of you, the relationship that we built with the board of directors and our officers. But I'm just so proud of the Columbus Realtors staff and team. You really get to know somebody, by the way, as a new CEO coming in and replacing a CEO that was here for many, many years. You really know your team when they're put into a position that they need to react, that they've never had to react this way before. And it really, they really shined. And it was absolutely amazing to watch them and the commitment they made to their jobs and the commitment they made to all of you. That is the greatest accomplishment that I've ever had in my career in the 42 years I've been in this business.
So you did a pretty good job, and congratulations on your first year. We look forward to many more. So that's looking back. Looking forward, this is for both of you. What are you, together as a team, you two and the administrative staff and the other leadership in the association, what are you most excited and most looking forward to accomplishing this year amidst COVID, amidst, you know, the 12 months that we do have in 2021? What are you both most excited for? Michael, I'll give that to you.
John?
Oh, go ahead, John. Go ahead, John, then we'll go back to Michael.
I'm very excited about working very closely with Michael. We're building a strong relationship, a high level of communication. I'm very excited about what we have put in our strategic plan. We have created a direction that we feel will move Columbus Realtors into the future. There's a tremendous amount going on in organized real estate right now that we're dealing with. There is the venture capitalists coming into the business. There are the class action lawsuits. There's the change in the code of ethics, change in MLSs. And we feel with our strategic plan and positioning the team, the staff, the way we've positioned them over the last 12 months, that we're ready to move forward. And the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to in 2021 is Columbus Realtors is the largest board in the state of Ohio. We want to lead as the largest board. We want to be very strong throughout the country in what we do in terms of advocacy, government affairs. What we want to make sure we lead as stewards within our community, making sure that we focused on equality and addressing the issues that we face. And we do it on a very high professional level through education, communication. So I really am excited about implementing the strategic plan that we have finished and moving forward into 2021. But I just think that the level of communication and what I'm really excited about is our relationship with our stakeholders and throughout Central Ohio. And Michael brought this up, and I don't want to steal his thunder, but he made a comment to me that we really need to partner with entities within Central Ohio that have like focus, and we're very excited about that direction we're going to head.
Thank you, Cody, and thank you for that, John. Certainly not stealing my thunder because we're a team, right? It's what we do together, and even including the YPs here who will help support us in these efforts. One of the things that we've also talked about is making sure that as part of our strategic plan and engaging with others, that we make diversity and inclusion a culture at Columbus Realtors. It's not just a committee, a forum, or anything like that. It is our culture now, and we need to accept that, realize it, and embrace it. So one of the things that I like to see happen as we go through this year, and again, I look to this group as innovators, thought leaders, broad-minded, and this group is probably one of the best groups to help demonstrate, but blending the old with the new. So just like you would consider the yin to yang, helping to find an interconnectedness between different people. let's kind of look at our nation right now that is in desperate need of healing. And certainly I won't make this a political discussion, but just a humanitarian discussion. We have a lot of healing to do. And by getting to know one another, taking time to learn the differences about one another and celebrating those, honoring those, and realizing that we are more alike than we are different. Let's come together in so many different ways on so many different levels. And it begins with groups like this. Again, groups that are broad-minded in their thinking, willing to go the extra mile. I think that we'll do a lot of great work with you at the helm of this effort with us. So let's just learn to kind of get along. You know, I don't mean to sound like a kumbaya moment. We have so much to do and so much to do together. And again, I have a great level of confidence in this group that we'll be able to do this. But we, like John said, have many different things that we're going to address, whether it's through our MLS, whether it's through our governmental affairs, so many things that we have in front of us to deal with. And we have a lot of work to do, quite frankly, to just kind of find that middle point for everybody to come together and blending the old with the new. So that's what I want to see happen.
Great. Thank you both. Those are great answers to kickstart the coffee hour. And I will pass the mic to my other co-chair, Kiera Chapman. For those of you that aren't super familiar with Kiera, I'm excited to lead with her this year. And Kiera, I will turn that over to you.
Thanks, Cody. Excited to lead with you as well. And very excited to be here with you, John and Michael. Thank you so much again for being here with us. Love learning and hearing what you have to say. So the first question actually goes to Michael. You know, as John said, we kind of were thrown into a year where we just didn't expect. And I know that you're, you know, actively still working in the business. How did you pivot in 2020? How did you make it through? And what was the outcome? Are you still pivoting? Are you still working through some of the things, or, you know, what did you see in your office and how did everybody kind of make it through in your opinion?
Sure. I think that as realtors, we're entrepreneurs, we're business people. So our life is full of pivots. Doing this for 25 years. And again, we constantly are required to evolve in how we do things and conduct ourselves. So, you know, 2020 was, I don't want to say no different than any other, very different. But in terms of how we reacted to it, I think realtors continued to step up and pivot like we always do. Personally, for me, I probably did fewer transactions because in 2020, you know, I made a commitment to step up as president-elect and work very closely with John and Andy to help move and continue to steer the ship during a very turbulent and difficult time, whether it was because of civil unrest or because of, you know, the COVID crisis. I was committed to that, which meant that I had less time to do work. And this year is going to be probably even more so, less time to do my day job. So John, I might need to put in a budget line item for me to go work at Columbus Realtors so I can support myself. Just kidding. But I think I took 2020 to look at my life different. Cody mentioned that 25 years experience. And now I'm at a stage that oftentimes people retire in a job, and I'm still relatively young, I guess, when you look at the spectrum of age for realtors. So I guess I'm just looking at how I can do things differently. And 2020 gave me the opportunity. It gave me the opportunity to have a what I referred to as a 60-day long weekend as we transitioned from winter to spring. And I just began to look at how I did business a little bit differently. I wasn't as focused on, you know, the rat race that I know many of you are in, and I was there. So don't knock it, or I'm not knocking it. I was there 25 years ago, like you guys, or so. But I began to look at things a lot differently. So I focused on consulting, some commercial development, and what I do well, residential real estate. And quite honestly, I had my best grossing year in all 25 years.
Wow.
So I did less deals, but made more money in spite of COVID, in spite of the civil unrest. So I think it was my ability to kind of sit, pause, and look within myself and say, how do you want this to work out? How do you want your life to continue to evolve? Because again, we are in a constant state of pivoting. We can't just kind of rest where we are. And that's what we do as realtors. That's who we are.
Yep. That's great. You had your best year. I think a lot of either you were like really flourished this year, or you really saw a lot of the moments where you can get better in your business. So it really kind of highlighted that. So you kind of touched on it a little bit, kind of talking about not really going into like politics, but more so like humanitarian things. Now, this next question is really for both of you, John and Michael. With everything that was going on this past year, from COVID to politics and racism and just economic, stress, all of these things were happening all last year. What do you think the role of the realtor is when it comes to kind of being vocal about what's going on in society? Do you think that we should use our platforms to bring awareness to certain issues? I know that it can be touchy sometimes. So what are your thoughts on that?
Let me thank you very much, Kiera, and I appreciate your question. Our role in society is to deliver a message of equality. Our role is to, and I was thinking about this the other day when I saw this question. And let me put it in this way. We all love certain things. We love jazz music. We love rock and roll. We love the oldies. We love the blues. We love Mexican food. We love soul food. We love Lebanese food. We love French, Italian. We love certain things, but often we don't like the people that create these. Why? So it is a celebration of culture, and we deliver that message of celebrating culture. Shelter, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to repeat this. Shelter is a necessity in our world. We don't do anything without real estate. You don't worship, you don't go to school, you don't entertain, you don't live, you don't go to work without real estate. And we lead that way. And how do we lead the way? We lead the way through professionalism. We lead the way through ethics. We lead the way through acceptance and celebrating culture. We may not agree with each other's political or religious beliefs, but that doesn't mean I can't celebrate. And it was funny, when I was younger, I was afraid to say Merry Christmas to a friend of mine who is Jewish. He said, John, you say Merry Christmas to me that you're celebrating. I will say Happy Hanukkah to you that I'm celebrating. And so let's celebrate each other. So how do you lead the way? You lead the way through your actions. You lead the way to how you all work together, and that you celebrate each other, you respect each other, and we find answers to solutions. We find answers to solutions and how we make sure that our elected officials hear our message that we have to protect equal rights. We have to eradicate racism. We have to make sure that somebody has the right to safe shelter and good education and an opportunity, and you use it through your voice. You don't do it against each other, you work together. And a collaborative voice, and again, we go back to the strength of Columbus Realtors, we deliver that message that without what you do, this affects our livelihoods. And so and one of the things that we're doing internally is we're celebrating culture. We've been doing a celebrating culture video with each other, allowing staff just to talk about their backgrounds, their history, their food, their culture, their family. And it's absolutely amazing what you start to learn with each other, and you learn to accept it. So yes, we lead the way through our actions and through our level of professionalism and ethics.
Thank you. I agree. Ethics is everything. What do you say, Michael?
Thank you, Kiera. And John, great answer. Thank you for that. I'd say we absolutely use our platform. We use who we are as realtors as not just a catalyst, but a megaphone or a bullhorn. When people come to me and say, Michael, I want to get into the real estate business, I tell them first, I said, it's more of a people business than it is a housing business. I mean, we sell houses. That's the result of what we do. But at the end of the day, it's about people and connecting people with where they need to be or where they want to be. But we connect with the folks on a whole different level. And if we're not using this as a platform, something's wrong. We are responsible in many ways. And John, we look back at our strategic plan, which has a community component, and I encourage the entire committee to look at that. We are in the people business. We are not just in the housing business. Housing is just what we sell. It's important that we realize that and connect with people, and we speak about injustices. We don't ignore it. We don't cover it up. We don't dismiss it. And when we hear it from our colleagues behind the scenes or our family or friends, we speak about it. You don't necessarily have to get into a political debate. But again, Kiera, it's about humanity. It's about treating people kindly, being fair, being equitable, being ethical. That's what we're charged with as real estate professionals, of course. But I think we absolutely do everything we can. And this is the group that does that. This is the group. That's one thing that I love. One of the many things that I love about this group is that, again, you guys are the ones that think outside the box in a lot of cases. You're the guys that evolve and do things a lot differently than what we've always seen. You're new to this business in some cases, and you can bring a lot to the table. You bring a sense of belonging. You bring a sense of purpose in what you do. 25 years ago, when I started in real estate, there was nothing like this. Like John said, there was no opportunity to collaborate. We didn't have this Zoom opportunity. You guys are the future as real estate continues to evolve. And in 25 years, you'll be, that old geezer like me saying what I'm saying now to the new group. Who knows what's to come from that group? But I only expect the best from all of you, looking internally at how we can improve our processes, improve our professionalism, and speaking out against, like I said, injustices, speaking in favor of things about humanity and community. We're all connected in one way or another, and it's critical that this group be that catalyst that helps us realize that and act upon it. So absolutely, Kiera, we're responsible for making sure that we use our platform in this people business that we're in.
Agreed. Yes, awesome answers. Thank you both for that. So kind of piggybacking off of that, and with the pandemic, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be losing their houses probably. There's going to be people who are going to be going into foreclosure and bankruptcy, and there's going to be a lot of renters that are going to be evicted. With that said, how do you see that affecting our market locally and nationally? Do you have any kind of insight into that? Do you have any? I think we're all kind of like waiting to see how this past 2020 is just going to affect this year. What are your thoughts on the Columbus real estate market and how we're going to either push through that or how it's just going to change it indefinitely?
So, I like to come up with predictions based on news, based on trends, based on, in this case, new economic policies that are going to be developed by our incoming administration. 3 months ago, I had predicted that real estate, our market would continue to grow and thrive, and that we might see a dip as kind of the CARES Act moratoriums would wear off the end of the year. And they've, of course, been extended temporarily for now. But just looking forward, I thought to myself, there may be a dip after the first of this year. We may see an opportunity for the buyers that we struggle to get into houses, the limited inventory that's available. I said there might be a glimmer of hope for them in the first half of 2020. And I'm kind of on the fence, you know, as I look at MLS and see different things coming on the market or see price adjustments. But I don't know that this 6 months is going to create a lot of opportunity. Had an opportunity to talk with some of our economic development partners, and the commercial horizon is very strong, which is going to help keep residential real estate very strong because Columbus is in demand. People want to live in Columbus because of opportunity, economic growth, safety. I mean, just overall, Columbus is a great place to move, and we all know that, but more and more people are seeing that. So I think that even if we experience a slight slowing or stabilization of our market in this first half of 2020, which is still possible, I think that it's going to be short-lived, and Columbus will be fairly insulated from a lot of the things that other places throughout the nation will see, because we do have strong economic drivers. And I feel very optimistic about our market. I feel optimistic about the rebound. You know, we have a commercial member, Scott Radchek, our secretary for 2021. You know, he'll probably talk about, I don't know if he'll talk at all in this meeting, but you'll have an opportunity. I encourage you to meet Scott. He's a great guy. Look at vacancy rates. You know, the transition of people moving from downtown office space or even suburban office spaces is dwindling because the demand is not there. We did so well as a Central Ohio community to move people to their home offices and function there successfully. So a lot of places, not only restaurants have closed, but a lot of business and offices are saying to themselves, we did this well, people are working at home successfully, maybe we can reduce our brick and mortar footprint and, you know, have half the staff maybe work at home. So we will see changes like that. And then as it cycles out, I see our colleague Edward Cyril here. We did a transaction earlier this year, and we saw, you know, he and I did a transaction that the market was slow for this condo that I had, but it was a beautiful condo. And a lot of it could have had something to do with the civil unrest that existed for residential housing in downtown Columbus, and the overall huge supply of condos and apartments downtown. That will transition, even though we see a lot of the migration from downtown residential to suburban housing. As we develop new opportunities in Columbus and new people come to Columbus, our net growth is usually between 60 and 80 people per day. As we do that, those spaces will be filled with new people that want to have that urban lifestyle. So there's lots of transition throughout the Central Ohio market, whether it's commercial, whether it's residential, but I see very favorable opportunities. Again, Columbus, for those young folks, you know, we are the test capital probably of the nation in many cases. So new restaurants will come here and thrive. So where we saw some of those doors close and shutter, there will be many new businesses that step into those spaces and continue to grow in Columbus. I feel like I'm just like going on and on. I don't want to dominate this. So John, let's turn it over to you.
Micah, you said a lot and very pointed and directed. And your comment about our partners, our stakeholders, such as One Columbus and Jobs Ohio, the BIA, working with them, their vision for the future is going to be very good for Central Ohio. We in this area will fare better than most of the state, but we also have, as a tier 2 city, we're being looked at as a great environment with the what is taking place with jobs, research, technology here, our healthcare. When you have Ohio State University, the state capital, and the other universities throughout this area, but there are a number of major corporations that are headquartered here. But there's also the West Coast and the East Coast that are looking at Columbus, Ohio. You have a number of entities from Canada that are looking at the state of Ohio, and Columbus leads the way. We work very closely with One Columbus, Kenny McDonald and his team, and they have just hired a new research analyst. We're going to be in the process of hiring a research analyst at Columbus Realtors, and they will be working together, making sure that we have the data and the information that we can pass on to other entities throughout the United States that will drive traffic to Columbus, Ohio. So there are a great opportunity. There are a lot of things that need to be fixed in this area, but economically, the future for Central Ohio is very strong. And I know Scott is on this call, and it's great to see Scott with us because the commercial markets are struggling, and it will be a tough rebound. But it's absolutely amazing what can transpire out of the changes that take place with the new technology and utilizing what we have available for this information. So Columbus is on the radar. There is a major event that's going to be taking place in New York City in September. We've been involved with the beginning of this event. It's a commercial industrial retail event, and Columbus is going to be spotlighted during this event and showcased. And One Columbus is going to be engaged with that, as will Jobs Ohio, along with Columbus Realtors. So we're doing what we have to do to continue to showcase Central Ohio for growth in the marketplace. But it is about jobs, it is about transportation, and it is resolving the social issues that we have to resolve. There is one thing that is taking place right now. We have a number of entities in Central Ohio, such as Morsi. We have Homeport. We work very closely with these entities through Columbus Foundation and such. But now there is a program that is tied. We're the second city in the United States that is going to be part of this. It's called Convergence. It is being led by the Mortgage Bankers Association, their national office. Huntington Bank is very much engaged. Fannie Mae is very much engaged. And we are, Columbus Realtors is absolutely involved, directly involved with Convergence. And what this is bringing all these entities together to work together and stop the rhetoric and start creating an action plan. The first city that they rolled out Convergence is in Memphis, and Columbus, as I said, is the second city. So we're working very closely. Michael is involved with this, as is Ida and Lynn. And I was very fortunate to be invited to Memphis to participate in the initial rollout. So these are action plans that are moving forward to fix the social issues we need to fix in Central Ohio to make us more attractive for corporations.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. It's good to know that you're optimistic about the next few years coming up, especially in regards to commercial, because we are seeing a lot of changes there. There's a lot of, vacant buildings. So it's good to know that there's action plans in the works. So thank you for that. I'm going to turn it over to Josh with his questions, and then everybody else, if you have any questions that you want to ask at the end of it, just go ahead and put the questions in the chat, and then we'll get to them as soon as we're done asking all of the preset questions that we have now. But yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Thanks, Kiera. Everyone's still feeling good? Friday morning, this conversation's going great. So the first one for both of you guys. So do you foresee the inventory issues still continuing to be a problem over the next year or two?
Michael?
Thank you. I do. I see them as being a problem because, as I stated, we grow pretty rapidly, and I don't think that's going to diminish. So the demand is still going to be there, which creates some pressure for sellers in many cases, unless they're relocating outside of Central Ohio, Columbus. If they don't have anywhere to go, they're apprehensive about putting their home on the market. So we need to find more viable solutions, which include probably a lot of new construction, whether it's additional residential housing, single-family homes, condominiums, et cetera. Hopefully we will work, as John mentioned, very closely with BIA to help support that wherever we can. Again, this isn't a political discussion, but one of the biggest obstacles that they have is government intervention with permitting process, different things like that. I spoke to a panel, I think last year, with HUD representatives to kind of talk about what are some of the challenges facing developers throughout the country. So it's not that we're unique in this, it's a problem throughout the entire United States. The level of red tape, if you will, that exists with going through construction can be costly and very timely. again, to reflect back on a recent discussion with some economic development folks, in our peer cities, we still are very, very far behind with new home development. And until that changes, that's one supported component of it. The other challenge that we have in front of us is housing affordability, access to what is considered to be affordable housing. Oftentimes, I affectionately refer to a group, the working poor, and I'm talking about the folks that have made a career, if you will, of working at service level jobs, whether it's, people at the grocery stores that we go to, restaurants that we go to, that don't earn enough to really support the trend that we're moving towards with housing pricing. Even with rentals, we're off the charts in terms of where Columbus is going with the affordability of everything. It's so important that we try to address the housing affordability issues so that we can be certain that everybody can live with dignity, live in a safe, clean space. It's not available for everybody. And I don't know how much of this group has experienced that, but until we can broaden access to housing, even talking about fair housing in a lot of cases that I expect this group to be able to address. And fair housing doesn't only address, the color of your skin, but it goes the gamut in terms of making housing available to everybody. But inventory levels, until we solve some of those other issues, are going to continue to exist. They will continue to be a challenge. And it's kind of good for us, to be able to sell a house pretty quickly, but it's also kind of the market, as it goes this way, it stands a better chance of, kind of inverting that curve pretty rapidly. We looked at a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were looking at studies from chief economist at NAR, Lawrence Yun. There were all sorts of indicators pointing towards a recession. And housing, I just read an article recently, really kind of deviates from that. All of the things that point to a poor economy, a struggling economy, but housing is like on the opposite end of that right now. We're still finding people paying more for houses than we ever imagined. The average price is increasing. The demand, again, is still there. So people are paying, like I said, more than they would probably ordinarily pay, but they're also even paying, to support appraisal deficiency. So all of those things that we're seeing in our market and many markets throughout the nation are inconsistent with the condition of our economy. The jobless numbers are off the charts. And when you have a situation like that, you don't expect people to be fighting to buy housing. So it's kind of an oxymoron or a contradictory thing, but it's still working. And we just have to be very cautious that we plan. And again, Earl, as we talked about pivoting, being able to pivot as those things change or evolve within our marketplace. So again, long story short, I know it's too late for that, but I think that inventory will continue to be a problem, at least for the next 2 to 3 years. And I'm just really hopeful that we can find balance so that we can have more new construction, but also focusing on affordability so everybody has a clean, safe space to live with dignity. John?
Thank you, Michael. Let's go back to Kiera's question about your responsibility in our society. CORPAC is vital. And the number of things that Michael talked about, the issues that have to be fixed in our community to help drive inventory. It's not just people putting their homes on the market, as Michael said, it's affordability, but how do we change these policies? We have one of the best government affairs directors anywhere in the country with Brent, and he does a great job working very closely with his counterparts in Ohio. He works very closely with his counterparts at NAR, and we have got to be engaged and make sure that we get the right message to our elected officials, the importance of NIMBYism. And I saw somebody bring that up on the chat, and YIMBY, yes, in my backyard. We have to start to accept these changes. And what's vital to the future of housing and making sure that we have inventory is looking at entities such as convergence that's taking place, opening ourselves up to transportation and density. as you know, many of you may know, I'm from Toledo originally, but I was in Canada for 14 years. And you look at the Toronto market and the density in Toronto and Vancouver, and the transportation that's tied to that. These are certain things that through our CORPAC, through our advocacy and our government affairs, making sure that our elected officials understand what is needed in Columbus, and we as a voice together, it is extremely important that, and that's the power of what our PAC is. When you march on to Washington and they go to the mid-year meetings, it is so powerful to see the realtors' voice heard. And when you work closely with Brent and you work closely with NAR, and you have Greg Rapchak and Kathy Shiflett and John Royer, who are, and Michael is a federal, he works directly with Joyce, and we work closely with Steve and Troy, getting that message out. So we have to fix the issues, but we have to have our elected officials hear our message.
Good answers, and I apologize if I have some background noise. I might have the loudest office neighbors in all of Columbus. So MJ, you touched on it a little bit about the different regulations and stuff. Greg Coleman had a follow-up question. There seems to be pushback on density. How are developers overcoming that?
They're not. In many cases, they're not. They're losing battles in BZA meetings and in council meetings. I feel like in many cases, and I can't cite any right now specifically, but in many cases, our elected officials may bend to the will of a few that aren't necessarily supportive of the YIMBYism that needs to exist. So I don't know that we're solving the problem. I mean, if we had that solved, then I think we would be farther beyond where we are today. So we need to, with this group, again, we talk about your voice, your platform, your ability to speak out and make sure that there's equity in everything. Maybe we need to formulate an opportunity to go show the elected officials that we are united. We are Columbus. We are Central Ohio, and it's not just Columbus. It's all of the suburbs that surround us as well. We work with Brent on finding out how can we go to our politicians, whether it's a phone call, whether it's whatever the best method is, and say, how do we solve this problem? We need to create more housing. They're hearing it from many people, but they probably don't really hear it from young people. And young people have proven time and time again to be coming out in elections more than they have in the past. You are a mobilized group. Let's use that as an opportunity to show them, here are some of our needs. Here's where we want to see some change. Let's push this thing forward. I think, again, to answer your question, Josh, I don't think that they're overcoming it. The whole notion of housing affordability, for example, with the Affordable Housing Trust, I think in a lot of cases, they saw people trying to come in under the wire to kind of meet minimum guidelines so that they could do affordable housing. But we really need to do what is truly affordable housing in every sense of why the group was created, not just fitting in under the wire so that you can capitalize on an investment. Nothing wrong at all with capitalism, but we still want to do what everything is set out to do. So affordable housing should be affordable housing. Market rate, whatever it is, let's take all of those segmented areas or those siloed areas and then support them where they need to be. And I think, again, this group is poised to be able to do that. And another charge for you guys. I got a lot of things. I hope everybody's taking notes. I have high expectations from this group. I really do.
We appreciate that, and we'll try to reach your standards for that and push for that. So aside from inventory, we've all gotten accustomed to these Zoom calls, wearing masks, everything like that. What do you foresee, or what do you guys anticipate the challenges of this year with everything now that we're basically a year into COVID? What do you expect those challenges are going to be this year?
The one thing that we have to deal with is emotion right now. We deal with the staff, as many of you with young children, my daughter with our 2 young grandchildren that are dealing with the emotion of Zoom, not seeing their friends. We had our Core Pack golf outing this summer, and it was almost like we opened up this big box of candy and gifts, and everybody was so excited to see each other. We're in, and Michael said this earlier, we're in the people business where we deal with emotion, we deal with relationships. So the greatest thing that we have to make sure that we continue to keep a pulse on is the emotion of our team internally at Columbus Realtors, the emotion of all of our members, and how you work together. But we also have to make sure that we understand all these changes with technology. It's not that what we don't want to do is just walk away from it. We now have to look at ways that we can enhance and take advantage of what we did learn last year. In the article that I wrote in Contract, I talked about what we will take from this, and you look at last year as a level of education in new information, new technology, new opportunities, and we take that. And back in March, I sat down with the team on a Zoom call, and we made it very clear, we're not going to sit and wait for COVID to end. We're going to be very focused forward, and we're going to be prepared for COVID and move into 2021. And we did just that. So you take this technology, you take what we've learned through how do we show a home? How do we deal with the safety issues? How do we communicate with our homeowners, our sellers, our buyers? And you don't just walk away from what you've learned and how you've had to adjust. You take it and build on that. And that's education. That is making sure you're aware of what you've done to succeed and how you can utilize these tools and information. We can now expand our reach. We can, when we get back to a live event, that doesn't mean we can't offer a Zoom model at the same time and start to expand our reach, deliver new levels of communication to the consumer, deliver new levels of communication to our partners. And so we're going to take advantage. And that's one of the reasons why we made the change with communication internally, taking Jessica and having Jessica become the director of internal communication and building on our video and our podcast, changing the In Contract magazine, and having Marquet focus on our corporate and external communication. And so we're going to take advantage of what we've learned to expand our reach and expand our knowledge and opportunities for all of you.
Thank you, John, and thank you for being, a leader in all of that at our association. It's so important. What I say for 2021, let's look at a forward thought of the deficiencies. Let's look at the fallout of what 2020 has created and will create. When we look at community, one of the things that troubles me quite a bit is education. Education, we take it for granted because we do CE online. We've done CE online for a while. But children aren't quite prepared or as equipped as we are. Young kids that are going through school, whether it's a hybrid program, whether it's full online learning, they still need, as they develop emotionally, physically, and otherwise, they still need interaction. They still need, in many cases, face-to-face or, hand-to-hand, whatever it might be, in terms of their ability to learn and navigate this process. So I grow very concerned about the fallout of the children that are going through this pandemic and attempting to learn in this very challenging environment. People still don't have good access in many cases to broadband, internet service. They don't have the resources or the tools like computers and or iPads so that they have the ability to learn. And it's going to take us back. It's going to pull us not in 2021, but we're going to see the effects of this in 10 to 15 years. Let's anticipate that. Again, I keep challenging this group. One of the things that I have for education and foundation this year to want to do, to strive to do, is let's see how we can bridge that gap for some of these students, either through Columbus City Schools, some way, shape, or form, to be able to address what's going to happen with these kids. Let's do what we can to mitigate the challenges that they're going to have with learning, so that in 10 to 15 years, when you're standing at this transaction, looking to help buyers and sellers, what does that look like? How is this group impacted, and how do they look in 10 or 15 years? Let's anticipate the fallout in everything, whether it's creating business opportunities. We're hearing right now about the exodus from people leaving the West Coast, like California and New York, and relocating to different areas. That means opportunity for me. I'm not looking at just the exodus. I'm looking at the opportunity to come in. Same thing exists here. Let's look at where are there some deficiencies? Where is there fallout? Where is there a lack of opportunity? Because it will turn around and create opportunity on the other end. That's where you all should be. That's where we hope to be. That's where I encourage all of us to work collectively, so that we can continue to pivot, survive, and actually thrive. So I think 2021, my motto or my slogan, my goal is to look at a vision beyond. It's not just where we've been, but it's where we're going to go. And it's boundless. It truly is. This group, I guess I'm just kind of realizing it, I know it, but this group is that group that helps to move that forward. We got to use this group, John. I mean, this is the group that can mobilize and go forward and help everybody. So I'm just looking forward to what we do in 2021 with this group, with our entire association. But I expect you guys to be there with us, getting messages out, making certain that Columbus Realtors are in the community, that we're doing everything. Another thing that I want to do, Kelly, I see you on here. I want to create an entrepreneurship program. And I think this is, again, the perfect group to be able to do this. I'm old, so again, I'll date myself by saying, there used to be a group called Junior Achievement. They came in, it was business folks that came into the schools, I think at a high school level, and kind of talked to us about what they did, how do you build a business. Those things, I don't think they exist anymore. One of the people that I joke with, I can't think of it, Larry Press. I don't know if you guys know Larry Press. He was my Junior Achievement guy, in high school, and he's in the title business today. So I enjoy joking with him and punching at him with, he was my teacher back in high school. And if it was long ago for me, imagine what it was for him. But let's see, this is the perfect group to kind of talk to high school students, because you're still very relatable. You still look like them in a lot of cases. Why not move forward with this group, Kelly? Challenging you now, or encouraging you to, let's put together a program so that we can teach and foster entrepreneurship. It's not something that's taught in the classroom, but we can certainly create opportunities to do that. That's one thing I'd like this group to also focus on. Again, I feel so long-winded. This coffee hour is turning into a coffee hour and a half. Go back, Josh. Sorry for taking so much time.
You're all right. And that was a great point. That's something that Kiera has already brought up in some of our meetings, and one of our kind of smaller goals is to maybe try and implement that a little more this year through some of our events and stuff. So it's hard to plan a little bit, as everyone knows. We don't know what to expect, what we're allowed to do, and all that. So, but to segue a little bit into the opportunities and people getting involved, YPN not only has a lot of younger agents, but a lot of newer agents. This one's, again, for you, MJ. How can agents get more involved at the association level?
Well, I think it starts with this group again. Not only are you young professionals, but another challenge. Let's have this group get linked up with, I don't know, John, if it's through Corey. Let's find out new members as they come on. Every month, our president-elect, Sue Van Workum, is going to have a list of new people that have, joined the association. Let's find out if this group can reach out to each one of them, whether it's by email, phone call, or otherwise, and introduce yourself. Create an opportunity, build that bridge up front, and then you connect them where you want them to be. Find out where their passions are. Find out what they do well. Find out what their business focus is, and determine give them at least 3 key places that they can fit into our association in terms of supporting committees, forums, or otherwise. I think, again, it can start with this group. identifying, even if it's a self-assessment, look at what you're passionate about, all of you, and say, you know, what committee do we have that best supports my passion, where I want to be and what I want to be a part of. I mean, it sounds very simple, and it is very simple. All you have to do is just take a moment and think about it. And I'm happy to do that. I'm looking forward to being able to meeting all of those that are on here. I see a few names that I don't recognize. You know, shoot me an email. Let's get to know one another. If there's something I can do to be helpful in you engaging in the, I'm happy to do it. So please reach out.
And Josh, can I add something to that? And I really appreciate what Michael's saying. And Jessica's on the call. We can create a welcome letter that comes from YPN to all of our new members. That, as Michael said, Sue, as our president-elect, will, through our board of directors meeting, put a motion to accept our new members. And we have a welcome package and then we can add a letter from this group. And the other thing we have created, and Jessica has done a great job, and Kelly has done a great job of putting this on the website. It's a getting to know you survey. And we want everybody in the entire association to complete the survey because it helps us understand your background, your history, your expertise, your skills, past jobs that you've held that we can tap into with that experience and expertise. I did this in my past association. We had 85% of our members complete the survey. That way we can look at if you have a banking background, a advocacy background, an education or technology background, we can help get you involved with the committees or the task force or the forums that help celebrate your experiences and your knowledge. And so we're really pushing this. One, we can create that welcome letter to our new members from this group. And we ask that you help promote the Getting to Know You survey because it really helps us reach out to the members and get them engaged and matching their expertise and skills.
I really love the idea of the welcome letter. We'll have to get to work on that in some of our future meetings or sidebar meetings. With that, we'll start wrapping up a little bit. Cody, Kiera, do you have any follow-up questions or anything you wanted to ask?
No, I thank you both for your experience and just being on the call this morning. There are a few new faces on here, so I'm hoping that you guys, for the new ones that are on here, become involved with YPN and reach out to Josh, Kiera, or I, or any one of the leaders on this call and get to know us a little bit. We're excited for 2021. And so that's all I have.
Yeah, no additional questions for me.
Perfect. And then for all of our YPN OGs, so let's get a big thank you to John, Michael, our co-chairs, Haley, Sarah Marty finally jumped on. She'll love this. Everyone, can I get 2 claps and a Ric Flair for them? Woo!
Thank you for having us. It was so much fun. A great pleasure. Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much for joining us, everybody.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
See you guys.
Happy Friday. Bye.
Bye, everybody.